I heard about this once a week training because I was someone that would go to the gym 5, 6, 7 days a week, mostly for the cardio, but, you get this high from working out and then you see your body changing, so you just keep going. I was told about high intensity training. I was told that you could, work out once a week and get a good result. And my immediate response was like, no way. I just didn't recognize the importance of strength training. I realized how important muscle is and how once I started strictly strength training, my body started to shrink and become, I became firmer and um my weight didn't change, but I became tighter and smaller. Clients aren't there to hear about your problems. They're here to tell you about their problems. And I think once I realized that as a trainer, that clients want to talk about themselves. And it's not that they don't care about you, it's that they care about themselves more. So, like, if everyone can, once I recognize that, like, clients want to, tell you about themselves, then it just made for it has always made for a great session. Like, remove yourself and let the
Yeah.
client be center of attention always. And it somehow
Yeah.
works out. As I started to lift weights, my shape became even better. And so,
Yeah.
um, I think that if women wanna change their body shape, they have to really buy into the idea that it comes from weightlifting
Mm.
and not other means of exercise.
It's kind of ironic, isn't it? Because it actually, for almost all women, accentuates the feminine, right? A woman's body looks
Exactly.
even better. Lauren Snell here, and welcome back to High Intensity Business, your one-stop shop for growing your strength training business and fueling your passion for high intensity strength training. Today, I'm joined by Sara Rufener, owner of Bend Strength Lab in Bend, Oregon, United States. Sarah, welcome to the podcast. Great to have you.
Thank you.
Now, I'm really, really fortunate to have you. I've obviously wanted you to be on the podcast for a while, so I'm excited to have this conversation. Just sorting out my Zoom configuration here. So one of the first things I want to ask you, Sarah, is I always love learning about like the story of how people get into high intensity training. There's not that many of us, so it's always fascinating to hear like what was the moment you learned about it and kind of became converted, shall we say? So what you mentioned to me once, I think it was a post in one of our communities, was that you were a client, but also a skeptic of HIIT. So take us back when you first got kind of exposed to it.
So I got exposed to high intensity training back in around 2004. I In college, I had started working out and becoming really fit, mostly with cardio, which is interesting. And then I morphed more into going to the gym, you know, seeing what other people were doing, and then kind of just following what they were doing in terms of weights, looking out on the weight floor, seeing what women were doing and seeing, "Oh, okay, I guess I'll do that." And so then I heard about this once a week training because I was someone that would go to the gym, 5, 6, all the time, 7 days a week, mostly for the cardio, but you get this high from working out and then you see your body changing, so you just keep going. I was told about high intensity training. I was told that you could, work out once a week and get a good result. And my immediate response was like, no way. And so I went in for an introductory session, and they proceeded to make it so hard, to the point that I couldn't even, for 7 days, I was so sore, and it was more to prove a point. I think that when have these skeptics or these people that come in and they just don't believe that, once a week training can work or high intensity training can work, then you sort of, you know, do a different approach in their session than if you have someone coming in for an introductory session to become your client. And
And
I
you're like
think
this.
that is exactly what they did to me. It's like they don't need me as their client. They're just going to show me what it feels like and how it's done. And it was the hardest thing I've ever done. And then I started as a client, and then I became a trainer of high intensity training.
Amazing. Did you immediately go from working out like 7 days a week to like once or twice, or what happened after that workout?
I think what happened in terms of the weights is I really began to adhere to that once a week style training in terms of the weights.
Mm,
I did not change my approach to cardio at that point. At that point, I had been running quite a bit. I probably had already done multiple marathons. I think I had done my first marathon maybe back in 2000 or 2001. Um, so as in terms of the cardio, in terms of running, I didn't stop that, but I did adhere to the once a week style training and lifting weights, and I began to see, a really good results in terms of my body. And I think
right.
it depends on body type, my body likes muscle. So me probably backing off any of the other stuff and just doing the one time weekly hard, my body responded very well to that.
And what were you doing in terms of resistance training before you started doing high intensity training? Like how many times a week? And I'm guessing it was short of failure given how sore you were.
Yeah, I don't even think I was thinking in terms of um going to exhaustion or going to muscular failure. I was just thinking like, oh, go do that, go do that exercise or go in the corner and do 50 push-ups or, so it was just it was like something I thought about after I've already
Mm,
exhausted myself doing cardio. I just didn't recognize the importance of strength training. Like, I didn't know what I didn't know until, um, I realized how important muscle is and how once I started strictly strength training, my body became, it started to shrink and become, I became firmer and my weight didn't change, but I became tighter and smaller. And
mm,
so that showed me right there that like when the muscle is stronger and more dense, then we become smaller and, you know, firmer, what every woman could want, you know?
absolutely. Yeah.
I always say muscle is like our own personal Spanx. So so the more muscle we can have, the better we can get it. Then, we don't need undergarments to like suck it all in. It's just our
And I
body
love
does it for our body does it for us.
I love that saying, your own personal Spanx. I think you told that to me before, and I shared it with, I think I shared it with my wife, and she was like, "Yeah, that's really good." I was like, "Yeah, it's good marketing that," and it's not
Yeah,
far from the truth. Um,
right.
just while we're on that subject, remind me, do you talk to your clients much about nutrition and fat loss, or are you just about the training?
I do talk about, I mean, I guess in a session clients they're always bringing up food and, alcohol is a big one.
Hmm.
Um, should you drink? Should you not drink? I've always told clients that if I'm going to have drinks, I save it for my weekends. And if I am going to do it, it's going to be 1, maybe 2 days out of my week because I recognize that, alcohol in no way benefits my body. So I do talk about nutrition. I think that is one of the hugest pieces of this, you know, strength training is a big piece, but the nutrition piece is even bigger. I think what happened over the last few years is the GLP-1, the GLP-1s came out And so I've talked about nutrition less, which is interesting because
Mm.
more and more people seem to be on those. And so they're not even, they're not, they're no longer asking me questions about losing the weight because the weight is coming off. So now I'm pushing that if they are going to take these, you know, GLP-1s to lose weight, then they need to be maximizing their protein intake. And
Yeah.
I think that's what we're going to see is some of the negative effects of those GLP-1s is going to be, people just stop eating. So they, when you stop
Right.
that and you're not eating protein and then you're also not feeding your muscles. So, yes, I think nutrition is a huge piece and I talk about it often with my clients, but I thought about it the other day. I've talked about it less in the last few years because of those GLP-1s.
Interesting. Do you think this is a positive thing overall on net GLP-1? And are you seeing better results in your clients in terms of body composition as a result of that?
I would say, so just for the record, I don't personally use them, but I don't, talk against them, or I actually do support them because I've seen clients that have struggled for so long with their
Yeah.
own weight loss and just trying to eat healthy and, trying all the things and the weight still not coming off. And then I've seen them move into using the GLP-1s and I've seen them lose that weight and I've seen how it has, just given them a new level of confidence. And um, I will be the first to say that nutrition is hard. And, even for myself, who knows how to do everything right, it is, it is, it is challenging. And um, especially if you want to stay lean. And I'm one of those people that would like to stay lean 365 days out of my year. So I know what it takes and it is challenging. It's not just like, oh, eat this, eat that.
Yeah.
No, it's very you have to be very focused and committed to your goal.
Yes. Yes, I agree. And you don't sell nutrition consulting or anything like that. It's just during the sessions you might give a bit of a few tips here and there.
If a client would like a plan, I will give them a plan and I will tailor it to, what they would like. But yeah, I'm not meeting with them, on a side basis to talk about nutrition.
Mhm.
I would rather refer that out at that point. If somebody needs, more accountability or coaching, I would rather refer the nutrition piece out.
Yeah, good idea. And do you have people that you refer them out to? You have like a list or preferred people for that?
No, I just know of a couple, dietitians here in town, and then, I can refer them that direction. So,
Mhm.
I think at this point there's so many apps that people can use and that can help
Yeah.
them, track their eating. So, um, I think if people could just center their diet around protein and then add everything else around it, even that, they would see really
Got
good
it.
results. Because on some level, I don't think every client is trying to attain, you know, the level of leanness that I'm constantly, micromanaging my body to
Mhm.
attain. So I think there's different levels. And I think if people were able to focus on that, they would see a result that they were happy with.
Yeah.
And if they wanted to get a little more lean, okay, then we dial it in a little bit more.
Yeah. You had a workout right before this, right?
Yeah.
You got a great trap pump going on.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I did the deadlift this
There you
morning.
go.
Yeah. And then, yeah, I did. So, I did a few pull-ups too. So,
Awesome. Yeah, you're in
yeah.
you're in wonderful shape. It's very inspiring.
Yeah.
Just getting back to my original question about like how you all got started in this. So just to clarify, before you kind of started exploring the hit side of things? You were already a trainer then, correct?
No, I was
Okay.
not a trainer. I had just recently graduated from college. So I was sort of in that phase of trying to figure out what I wanted to do with my life, when I had been in
Still trying to figure that out.
I had been in 6 years of college. So, um, I needed to just kind of figure out what direction I was going. And so it kind of all fell into place because I had always told people I wanted to do something that made people's day better. And I thought I was gonna open my own drive-through coffee shop. I even had presented that as a business plan at my college and
Mm.
had received we had to present it in front of investors. And so my plan won as the, plan to be invested in. And so in my mind, I thought like, oh yeah, I had worked at a drive-through coffee shop in college and I thought like, oh yeah, like that's fun. And that always makes people day better, when they can get their coffee, you talk to them for a few minutes and then they go on their way. So I think moving into the training and then recognizing like, "Hey, maybe I could do this as a job." It just sort of naturally morphed into that. I then that's what I say, like, "Wow, you're still doing what you wanted to do, which was make people's day better."
Good for you.
And so I think that's the satisfaction I get is like when I'm training my clients is like they're making my day better, but I'm making their day better. So it's like this mutual relationship we have, um,
Mm.
of, I get, you know, um, I get energized by them and they get energized by me and what I provide.
Yeah, I love that. Um, So you then became a client, you started doing high intensity training. You were like, okay, this was very impressive. I'm sore for days. I'm going to keep doing this. Can you like explain them what happened? How did that then turn into you becoming a high intensity trainer? Like how long were you training like this before you were like, I want to learn how to do this and start personal training?
I think I would say I was training about 6 months.
Hmm.
And then I started to think, so, moving, there was, I, so then I started to think I could do this as a job. The owners at the time of the facility, there was multiple trainers there. I would say there was 5 to 7 trainers there. And so, um, I I had asked them about the possibility of training, starting to train clients. And they said there was no room for me to come on as a trainer. They were, at capacity. And so I was, you know, pretty insistent on that this was something I wanted to do. And so I just went and got a basic certification at first. So not even, related to high intensity training. And then they said, "Okay, you can train Tuesday evenings and Saturdays." So, um, so, I just was like, "Okay, I'll do it."
Let's do it.
Or I had, you know, um, and then I think they saw over time, I'm not sure what the time frame was from starting that to, um actually being able to be there, full time if I wanted. I think they saw that like, wow, she really wants this. And I was able to go get my own clients. And so, um, yeah, it's weird talking about it now, but I was
Mhm.
just, anybody I could bring in to come try it, you know, my friends' parents, anyone. And, so, in the beginning, there was a lot of, even free sessions just to get practice. Like, I would say to anybody that's new to training, and if you don't feel like you're what you know what you're doing, Like, and you need the confidence to build, you build yourself up as a trainer. Because, I've been working with the medics pieces of equipment for, this whole time, the last 21 years. And so I think when I first had to start setting them, they seemed so difficult. And I was like, oh my God, I can't do this. So I just started bringing in everybody I could bring in and just getting familiar with settings. Otherwise, if you're like struggling with a setting, everything takes time. And it's like everything's slowing you down, whether it's setting the leg press, setting the chest press. I think people don't realize those things that like now you're like, oh, I could set that with my eyes closed. But, just like get as much practice as you can in front of people, different bodies, different aches, different ailments. Then it just, it makes it so much easier.
Oh,
Um,
I'm so glad you shared that, because I think that's one of the messages we try and teach in HIB is like, look, you just need practice. If you're just getting started, don't
yeah,
be hyper selective. Just train anyone and everyone you possibly can, and just learn as much as you can. And friction can come later in terms of like being more selective about a type of client you want to work with. But right now, there
yeah,
should be no filters like that. Just train everyone, get as much experience as you can. What you said there is just want to reinforce that. So
yeah.
so
And I
valuable.
think, I think, I shadowed the owner for about a year in terms of just like I would ask him if I could be, just standing off to the side while he was training his clients, because I needed to be able to see what, how he was pushing them, what he was saying, what words like really um applied well to certain people. And so I think that too, like if somebody, if you're new, find someone that you can shadow and that, you like their style, you like how they train, you like how they're with their clients. And I can't speak highly enough to how much just having that helped me as a trainer, um, become a better trainer, and especially in the high intensity, world, and needing to push people hard, and what it takes to get them, get the work out of them, you know? So,
Yeah.
um, yeah, so, yeah, so, it's like clients will even say, like, I don't know, I just hear your voice in my head, if I can't do something and it feels hard, now I just think of, you and something that you said, or, you know, something that you can do this, you got it, so I don't know. It just,
Well,
um,
like when they're doing anything hard, even outside the
yeah,
studio. Yeah, that's
yeah,
cool. That's such a
yeah,
compliment, isn't it?
yeah.
You've listed some great things there: shadowing experts, listening to how they cue and coach, getting as
Mhm.
much practice as you can. What else do you think goes into becoming a great trainer? What other things would you suggest new trainers do to get better?
I think, practicing what you preach, eating well and training hard, like those 2 things, that discipline has carried over into my business on so many things. And so I think when people meet me for the first time, or, they see me, I'm not just a picture, on a website. I'm living and breathing everything that is on my website, on my Instagram, on YouTube. Like, that is me through and through. So I think, practice what you preach. And clients, you know, it's like, "Oh, do you only work out once a week?" And it's like, "Yes, I do only lift weights 1 time weekly, and this is the result I've received because of that." And I every time I do it, I think, "Gosh, this is hard. What? I can't believe clients pay me to do this." This you know? Like, I can't believe they
Well, that's
put them,
exactly why, because it's
you
hard,
know,
right?
I can't believe they put themselves through this,
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I see the importance of it. I see the importance of a trainer and the benefit of having someone there to, help coach you.
Yeah, thank you. And do you know what? I'd probably take a moment now to actually read some of the posts you shared in the community, which I thought was so helpful. And it kind of echoes a lot of what you're saying here. And maybe if I read it and then you can share any thoughts afterwards. You said, I began to think about what makes for a good trainer and development of the self. If I want consistency from my clients, then I myself must be consistent, showing up for myself, keeping myself accountable to the same work I put my clients through sets a tone, which you just obviously talked about. Clients know when they come into my gym, I mean business. Sure, we talk, but in between talking, we work. We get what we put out. If we want clients who value and appreciate us, then we must put forth energy that values and appreciates the client. Clients can tell when we are tired or half-assing it or assing it. How would you say it? When we show up with an energy ready to serve our customer, we in turn see that reflected back to us through client retention or through continued referrals from our clients. If I'm not at my best, I am not going to be able to offer the best of myself to my clients. That is the business. That is everything right there. And before you share, actually, have you got any thoughts on that? Or I'm going to read the second bit, but any thoughts come up for you on that?
Oh no, yeah, I think it's just about, you know, um, showing up and being consistent with, on Mondays, I have to mentally prep for my week. So I know that I have a crazy busy schedule Tuesday through Friday. So already Monday, I'm sort of going in with the thought like, okay, this is going to be a lot of clients. This is going to be mentally taxing. And so I just right there, you know, am already going in like, prep yourself mentally for what you have to do to show up for your clients. And that does mean, getting myself mentally ready on Monday evenings, going to bed early. I mean, there's all these things that, you know, make for a great week, you know, so that
What are
Tuesday morning I'm ready.
okay, that's really interesting. So you go to bed early on Monday, makes sense. What else do you do like tactically on Monday? Like specifically, what do you actually do to mentally prepare yourself for the week?
I think just mentally every day, I am very disciplined to wake up and do a gratitude list, and whether that is like, you know, it's not like I sit here for 30 minutes and write out everything I'm thankful for. It might be 3 to 5 things I write down, and I just focus my mind on what I'm thankful for, and usually that is I'm thankful for my clients, and I think just putting that forward is when you go into your work with, like, "I appreciate this, I'm so grateful for this," the amount of appreciation and gratitude that comes back towards you is innumerable. I mean, I can't even, like, go into detail about the amount of times that when I put forward the, like, "I'm so thankful for my clients," and this I have such a great, job and career to be able to train them, that comes back to me like a hundredfold. And whether, it's just even on Friday, I got a sweet card, from a client just saying like, "There's nobody like you," and,
Oh,
you like, with some chocolate and
oh
just
man.
happy Halloween and,
Huh.
and then when you get that, it makes you realize like, okay, I am on the right path and I am doing the right thing for my clients.
Yeah, yeah. I love that. I mean, it just says so much. I mean, I really didn't. I should have sort of started the podcast with this, but you've built up a successful business for yourself. Doing a mixture of one-on-ones and two-on-ones and group, and doing around 60 sessions a week. And no wonder if that's your attitude, right? If you're grateful for your clients, and I know people that don't feel that way. about their clients. And it, like you say, comes through in their energy. And that actually is a perfect segue into the second paragraph here, right? So you said, every morning before I head to the gym, I take time to mentally prepare and adapt accordingly to the day's events. Clients aren't paying only for expertise, they are paying for our presence, and sometimes our presence becomes the most important thing we have to offer. There has been so many days over the years where the workout became irrelevant, not because it didn't matter, but what mattered was my ability as a trainer to be present and adapt the workout accordingly. Who we are attracts what we get, right? The beliefs we hold, the energy we radiate, the way we see ourselves is what shapes the experiences of people that come into our life. Clients come to me easily and effortlessly because I hold an image in my mind that I'm always ready and open for business, and I deliver on that belief each and every day. The I see myself to be attracts the business I want and the clients I want to train. Awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I believe that 100%. It's like it, if am I on 100% every single day? Absolutely not.
Mhm.
But, you know, it's just coming back to like, okay, like sometimes, you had a rough day or you had a rough evening and, just being like, okay, put that stuff in the box and you can deal with it later and be there for your clients. And, um, you know, it, uh, it just always seems to, work out well when I've taken that approach to my business. I think back, I think back to younger years, when I didn't do that approach and, it either one, clients will start to drop off or, if
Yeah.
your idea is not on, if you're not present, if you got stuff going on and you're bringing it to work, then you are going to start to you are going to start to see the negative effects of that in your business. That's when I'm saying like put it in the box, like if there's something in your life, um, it just clients aren't there to hear about your problems. They're here to tell you about their problems. And I think once I realized that as a trainer, that clients want to talk about themselves. And it's not that they don't care about you, it's that they care about themselves more. So, like, if everyone can, once I recognize that, like, clients want to, tell you about themselves, then it just made for it has always made for a great session. Like, remove yourself and let the
Yeah.
client be center of attention always, and it somehow,
Sorry, go ahead.
works out.
Before we go any further, I just want to quickly thank our sponsor, Barvik GmbH. Building a successful strength training business requires top quality exercise machines and a reliable source of spare parts. Sourcing Medix machines, known for their exceptional design and performance, can be challenging, often leaving you dependent on the secondary market. Barvik GmbH, based in Hamburg, Germany, offers a solution. Led by Egger Barvik, who spent over 40 years working with and learning about Nautilus and Medix machines, and also completed a 3.5-year apprenticeship at Mercedes, mastering quality engineering, Barvik produces German-engineered Medix machines in India with thoughtful enhancements over their US counterparts. Barvik machines are trusted by happy customers all over the world, including members of the high-intensity business community. They're even being supplied in large volumes to major fitness brands like Keiser Training. For example, my former business partner and current HIB member Sean purchased Medix equipment from Barvik for his studio here in Galway, Ireland, and both he and his clients couldn't be happier. From popular pieces like the leg press, pullover, and bicep curl to rarer gems like the super forearm and tibialis, Barvik offers a wide selection of 35 Medix models built higher for easy movement of a pallet jack, zinc-plated weight plates, flat steel core belts instead of carbon fiber, and adjustable 90mm rubber feet. And right now, you can get 5% off a minimum order of 6 machines, but only for the next 3 months. This offer expires October 31st, so don't wait. Visit medx.eu, tell the team what you need, and choose the machines to grow your business. That's medx.eu, medx.eu. And now, back to the episode. Yeah, Yeah, and obviously they're paying as part of what they're paying for, right? Is your complete, undivided attention, and for them to be able to share with you what's going on for them. Um, you know, it's interesting. I've heard the way some like operationalize this is like if they're trying to teach their trainers or whatever, is like you can think about it like a 90-10 split. So it's like talk about yourself like 10% and they talk about themselves 90%. Even when the client asks, like, how are you doing? Like,
Yeah.
yeah, sure, you can answer the question, but immediately put it back onto them because they didn't ask for like, your whole life story,
Right.
And
Right.
that is a skill though, because it's, we all want to be asked how,
Yeah.
our favorite subject is always ourselves. So of course we want to talk about ourselves.
Right.
So, mm,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah. No, I can't remember when I thought like just make the session about the client.
Mm.
And I think I had possibly, witnessed another trainer at the time where I was working, um, making it always about the client. And I saw the amount of success
Ah.
that trainer had with her clients. And I thought, don't bring your stuff to work. Like make it about them. And I don't know. Um, it just always that seems to be a key ingredient, and, uh, I don't know, I I I can't, say enough about just make the session about them, and they'll keep coming back for more.
Yeah. And I know this is kind of asking the same question. Like we've been talking about what makes a great trainer. And I want to ask you, like, what do you think in terms of like what goes into that customer experience really helps to generate referrals and retain customers? I mean, you obviously said so much already on what helps do that and foster that. But what else do you think we're missing, whether it's about the workout or your presence or the way you talk to your customer or whatever?
Um, I I think being relatable, I I think I think about I consider myself to have a good sense of humor, and so I think just being able to, joke, joke with the client or, just n not it doesn't always need to be so structured and formal, and I think that more relaxed approach, has also, created this environment where, clients feel welcomed. They feel like they can be themselves because they see me being myself. So, um, yeah. And so I think, we're still working hard. We're still, applying the high intensity concepts, but there might be some joking and laughing that's going on, in between.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, I think that sounds like that's okay. It sounds like it's like part of your culture, really.
Right.
Um, it's interesting. Not once have we really talked about the workout really in any great depth yet on this interview. What about in terms of the workout approach? Like, can you talk us through like what a typical, if there is one, workout looks like for you of your client?
Yeah. So when they come in, typically, I always start with the largest muscle group and work into the smaller muscle groups. So, I'm usually just going straight from client to client. So there's not a lot of leeway. One client's showing up while another one's leaving, and usually they're saying hi and bye at the same time. So when a client comes in, typically I'll just have them warm up their legs, really quick, whether that's with the abductor, adductor. And
Mhm.
then we will move into the leg press. So they can be doing that while another client's finishing up. Um,
Oh, so
and
you're training someone one on one, let's say, in your next one on one, they might actually warm up on the
Mhm,
adductor and
mhm,
abduction without you.
yeah,
Like, okay, interesting.
without me. I just say put it in a weights that's challenging. I just don't always wanna take them right into the leg press.
Right.
Um, that is typically how I start my workouts, and then we move into the upper body, and then we finish typically with the calves and abs. So It's usually anywhere, depending on the client and depending on how quickly I can get them to move through the session. We're doing anywhere between 8 and 10 exercises.
Okay,
So,
so quite a lot.
um,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So, the, you know, that's more because there still is this idea, and um, I'm able to talk myself out of it, but there still is this idea that more is better. And so, that is probably why I err on the side of, if we do 8 exercises, that idea that, like, if you do one less, then sometimes people are like, "That's it?" And it's like, "Wait, you were dying, and this was hard, and you fully exhausted your muscles. Do you" So it's more
So
for,
hang on, even though
optical
someone,
optical
yeah,
effects,
right,
you
yeah.
know?
But that's well,
Um,
this is such an interesting topic. So firstly, what's ironic is 8 to 10 exercises is still very low volume compared to the rest of the world. I just
yeah.
had Matt Bridsky from Princeton University, very obviously well-known author in our space, and strength coach. He was on a podcast and his workouts are like 25 exercises long. Like he does like
Oh.
high volume hit. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow, okay.
Sarah, look out. That will come out. I think that's coming out this Wednesday.
Okay,
So yeah, look out for that one.
okay.
Very interesting. So yeah, it's when I say, oh, that's a lot, it's like, well, it's a lot compared to people doing like the big 5 or 6 exercises is what you often hear.
Right.
But it's not a lot really. Now, what's interesting is, so you have clients then who, whilst they might be exhausted after the workout and be trashed, they still feel the need to do more.
Well, or they'll say sometimes, "That's it, it went so fast." Or, like, it's like,
Like it's a
uh
bad thing.
and yeah, and I've had those thoughts in my head before where I'm like, "Wait, did I do enough? Did I work them hard enough?" Like, so that overthinking brain can sometimes, come into play, and you're like, "Did you take them to muscular exhaustion? Did they go to muscular failure? Like, did did you get the most work out of them?" Because I think even if I know that I've given a client a good session, there's still those thoughts sometimes like, "Could it have been better?"
That's
Or,
the right
you know
mindset though, isn't it? Kaizen.
like, you just I always want clients to leave with the feeling that they got a good workout, and regardless of whether they're talking or, you know, I I'm a talker, so sometimes, like, we have to I have to tell them, "No talking, no talking. You can talk in between the set while I'm setting up a machine, but you cannot talk. If you cannot while you're talking, because some people feel like if they're talking, it distracts them from the actual
Yeah,
pain of
yeah.
the set. But I sometimes feel like they're just, losing focus, and I need them to focus so that I know that they're getting a good workout,
Hmm.
and so that they're not at the end of their session going, "That's it?" You want them to walk away being like,
That's an
"Oh,
insult, isn't
I'm
it?
so glad this is done." know? And most of the people are like, you know, "I'm so glad this is over." Not like, not like I won't see them next week, but they just, enough was enough, and they got what they came for.
Yeah. Like I've heard it being described like, and this is certainly how I feel after mine. It's like physical exhaustion, but like mentally feeling just awesome and alive and
Right.
energetic in a kind of weird, perverse sense.
Yeah.
Mm,
I think I
yeah,
realized over time too that, like, women get more chatty as they end their sessions, and men get more quiet and just
really.
wanna, like, leave and go sit in their car for a minute before they get going again. Like, they're like, "I don't even know if I'm gonna be able to drive," and, women are, like, still talking to you when you're, like, trying to get your other client going, so
Women are tough,
I think
man.
there's a difference between men and women also when, the workout is complete.
So let's talk about that because you are really passionate about getting more women to do strength training, aren't you? That's a big passion of yours.
I think Yes, it is a huge passion of mine to get more women to do strength training, and I think that that stems from this idea that, you know, back in the day, and myself included, like, I was afraid to get muscle. Like, whether it's family upbringing or, this idea that you're gonna look like this huge bodybuilder that, you know, um this because I'll still get women that come in and they'll say, "I don't want to build too much muscle." And I'm like, "Okay,
Good luck with
let's
that.
come in and get you started, and if tomorrow you wake up and you look like a bodybuilder, then let's adjust. But, like, let's just go and move forward because I cannot tell you the amount of women that come in and say, I don't wanna get bulky. I don't wanna build too much muscle. This is one of the things, I mean, even this that you were talking about, like,
Hmm.
you know, um, developing my traps, and they don't want there's just certain, like, they'll say, "I don't wanna look like you." There's that, I've gotten that, so I just want to, I guess, get it out there more that, like, when you lift weights, you are not going to get bulky. The bulk comes from when there's fat sitting on the muscle, and until that fat is reduced, then, you know, you might be, building up your muscle, and it might, you know, feel like, "Wow, am I getting bigger?" But if
Hmm.
once you start to dial in that diet and then we continue to lift the weights, then you'll start to see the benefits of that
Hmm.
weight lift. Like, you'll get leaner, and you'll then see the benefits, and it won't feel bulky. Um, yeah, I can't there's still this idea, even though, weight training is being talked about, and, you know, everywhere you turn right now, I feel like weight training is being talked
Yeah.
about, especially for women. But there is still this idea that women do not want to get bulky or look like a man. And I think so that's why I've started to want to, talk about it more. It was harder back in the day getting clients, um, because I think they thought, like, I'll just do cardio and I'll do some Pilates and, maybe I'll think about that weight training later. And now it's like, can I do weight training? Like, now everybody's on the weight training bandwagon at the moment. But, women still want to, look, I don't know. They still have this thought that they don't want to look like a
Yeah.
bodybuilder. And I'm not sure where that entirely comes from, but I know I felt that way also. But
Hmm.
I just thought as I started to lift weights, my shape became even better. And so,
Yeah.
um, I think that if women wanna change their body shape, they have to really buy into the idea that it comes from weightlifting and
Mm.
not other means of exercise.
It's kind of ironic, isn't it? Because it actually, for almost all women, accentuates the feminine, right? A woman's body looks
Exactly.
even better.
Oh,
And
exactly.
like a minority, like a tiny, insanely small percentage will respond with big muscles or bigger muscles.
Yeah, exactly. I know, like, you have to have that body type
Hmm.
to even get that, and I think I just started a YouTube channel that will be up here shortly, but I think in one of the ones we talked about, like, if you come into me and you're weight training and you want to have a long, lean body, but you're not built long and lean, like, you're not just going to get that body type, like, or, if you are built long and lean and you suddenly want to, you know, be super muscular, like, you're not going to get that body type either. It's just, with weightlifting, you create, the body type that's best suited for you, and the weights just makes that even better.
Yeah. You become the best version of yourself, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. I think for those that are interested, I think Doug McGuff writes about that so eloquently in Body by Science about the body types. I think
Right.
it's one of the earlier chapters. You just brought me back to that. Um, I just want to talk to you about frequency for a moment. It's interesting, you personally train once a week. You preferentially train your clients once a week. I'm currently doing an experiment on myself once a week, very low volume, and I'm like going to this with like skepticism that it's probably going to make no difference to like my own results because I don't know. I'm skeptical, but we'll see. And I'm just going to follow it through for like 90 days. And it's like a super low volume, kind of like a two-way split type of, like 4 to 6 exercises once a week
Okay.
approach.
Yeah.
I've done a DEXA scan. I'll do another DEXA in about
Yeah.
like 75 days. And then what I might do is flip it. So after that, I'll then go and do like twice a week, higher volume and just see if there's any difference and try and keep all other variables the same, not mess with diet and stuff too much.
Right.
Um, so anyway, have you ever in yourself, let's talk about yourself for a minute here. I mean, you're clearly super motivated in your training, you've great physique, you enjoy building muscle. Like, have you experimented? Would you be interested in trying to do higher frequency, or have you tried that in the past and feel that actually better, you respond better to once a week? Or what's your thoughts on that?
I think, for me personally, I think my thoughts have been that once a week works well for me, especially because I am in a gym so many hours a
Mm.
week. And so that idea that I can come in, work hard, and get a good result is very appealing to me. Is that to say that I think everyone should do just once a week? No, if you want to do more. But I have seen the benefits of just doing once a week. Um, but I get that, that I'm practicing the minimal effective dose. So for me, that works well, and I have seen a good result with that. If somebody wanted to try doing, 2 days a week, would I preach against that? Not necessarily, because especially in the beginning, they might see better results, and just over time, they might need to tweak their workouts a little bit, or they might need to reduce, that second workout if they're working extremely hard on the first workout. So, like, it's just a degree of intensity, and I'm choosing once a week to just up that intensity to the maximum so that I don't need to come in and repeat the process over again. So, um,
Mm.
my frequency is reduced because my intensity goes up, and, um, so I think once people can understand that the frequency when the frequent if the frequency goes up, then the, intensity goes down. If the intensity goes up, then
So
the duration.
do you have
And
clients that train twice a week or is it all once a week?
almost everyone is once a week.
Uh-huh.
If somebody is training twice a week, it's typically because they are dropping in on a group class. Um,
Okay. And yeah,
they're
go ahead, sorry.
they're a personal training client doing a one-on-one session, and they're a group, they drop in on group classes.
And I remember you posted something in one of our communities about you were talking about Pilates and you gave some helpful direct advice to a colleague. And you were saying, I think, that some of your clients do multiple things. They'll do strength training with you, they'll do Pilates, they'll do other things. Is that correct? Is that true
Yeah.
across your
I
client
think
base?
yeah, I think, yes, my client base is, they do the strength training, they know they need the strength training, but then they also sometimes wanna go do a bar class, they wanna go do a Pilates class, they wanna go do,
Hmm.
spin class, yoga. So there's all these other things, and I always tell them, like, "If you wanna do those, go do those, but when you come in for your strength training, be ready." Don't go have, like, you know, done a bunch of stuff the day before and then expect to come in and be able to work really hard. So just if you're going to do those things, just kind of schedule it around your strength training. Um, this year alone, I had 3 Pilates instructors come in for strength training because they had either osteopenia or osteoporosis. So I think, I'm not saying that Pilates isn't helpful. I'm saying that resistance training is key no matter what other things you're going to, you know, include, whether that's Pilates, yoga, you know,
Yeah.
um, some HIIT workouts of high intensity interval training. People do that. Also, Orange Theory, is a big one. And so, yeah, I have clients that do multiple things during the week other than strength training.
And you yourself, so once a week, what does your workout look like? Is it the same every week?
Interestingly enough, it's pretty much the same every week. I don't make it the same. I don't always make it the same on my clients. And I think that's just more for the boredom factor. That's
Sure.
not if I could just if I had every client do straight sets, um, that's probably what I would do because that's what I do and that's what I've seen works for myself. But um I also just want to like set the time and go with the weight that I set. I don't want to you know, experiment like with a different type of set with my own workouts. And I
Okay.
probably do a little bit less than my clients. So I probably do 6 exercises um per week versus the 8 to 10 that I talked about. Again, that's, just staying within that pull, push, squat. And I just always tell clients that if you stay in those 3 planes, like, and I'm going intensely, I don't need to do a lot, you know? I just need to do the ones I do correctly.
Can you give us more detail on your workout? Like what are the 6 exercises?
So like leg press. So I'm not warming up with like adductor, abductor. I'm just going like right into the
Hardcore.
like, yeah. Um, so then I would do, a shoulder press, pull down, a seated row, a chest press.
Okay.
Um, so and then I might do, because I use the MedX equipment, I might do the torso rotation, um, or I might just do, abs for my abs. I might just do, slings where you place your arms inside and then just lift your legs up because that is such a great exercise. And then sometimes I just throw in like practicing push-ups or practicing pull-ups. I think those are exercises, body weight exercises that help people become more aware of their body, and they're challenging. So I think it's something that needs to be practiced regularly. It's not something like I can just do once and then not practice for a while and come back and just do it. It's something I have to practice regularly. Even push-ups, like most clients hate push-ups. And I personally think push-ups are very, very challenging. And that's coming from someone that is extremely strong. So every time I do them, I think, man, these are hard, So um that is why I would practice them. But typically if I'm doing my workout, it's gonna be a leg press, a pull down, a shoulder press, a seated row, and a chest press. And,
Like a big
and
5. Yeah.
it is a lot like the big 5, and I just set the timer, and, when I tell people that, my workout takes anywhere between, 12 and 15 minutes, because once you add up time under tension, it's not that long, anybody, including my clients, like, time under tension is, you know, it's very low. So, uh, it's because people think when they hear once a week, they think, oh, you must be at the gym forever. And it's like,
Right.
no. When you add up all the time under tension with the client included, it's going to be about 20 minutes, of total time.
So, okay, so you're working out once a week in that way. You doing other things? You're running? Any other like exercise that you do?
So yeah, cardio is this other piece that people, often when I've heard people talk about myself, they've said like, oh, well, you're in shape because you run. And
Mm.
it's like, no, I'm actually in worse shape when I'm running a lot because I'm eating away at my gains. I'm eating away at my muscle. Like my body can't support all that muscle when I'm running long distances. Running long distances has been just more that challenge of, completing something. I ran a marathon in February. Um, and it was just more about challenging myself, I hadn't run one for a long time, and it was just to see what my body is capable of. Um, so do I do car when I talk about cardio with my clients, I tend to do about 20 to 30 minutes of cardio, in the morning before I see my clients. And typically what that consists of is setting the treadmill at the highest incline I can possibly set it at, and then walking backwards on the treadmill for about 20 or 30 minutes
Okay.
while I'm listening to my audiobooks. So it's a brisk
Right.
pace and
Walking
it
backwards.
yeah, and it works my body in such a way that I'm not catabolizing my muscle, but I'm I also feel like I get a good workout in those 20 to 30 minutes that
Why
I'm
walk
on.
backwards rather than forwards?
It's
I've heard this
just a
before, but I'm
different
curious.
I know, it's a different challenge on the muscle. I feel like it's helped my hamstrings and butt be in better shape as a
Interesting.
result. And since I'm not, like, able to do an extent like, I'm not, you know, it is hard to get out of that more is better
Mhm.
idea, especially in terms of, like, cardio, so it's a way for me to work harder, but I feel like also work smarter, and, so I have 20, 30 minutes in the morning, I get on that treadmill, and I just do that
Yeah.
during, my work week. I did it this morning after I got done with my weights. I did 20 minutes on the treadmill and, just listen to my audiobook.
What audiobooks do you listen to?
Um, I mostly listen to personal development. I'm very much I almost only listen to personal development. I have some
Okay.
clients we um, we kind of like we recommend different books to each other, and I don't know, I feel like I have 179, self-help books in my arsenal and, just play one. So I'm more about like it's so important where we are in our thought process in order to move forward in our life. So it's always books that kind of relate to being in a certain state of consciousness so that we can move forward in a specific way. And so I think like just how I think, like I wanted to be in the best shape I could every year that I'm alive. So I have this thought in my head that like every year that I'm alive, I'm going to be in the best shape of my life. And that belief has as I move forward, I think, wow, you are in because people have this belief or this thought that, once you get a certain age, everything goes downhill. And I don't believe that. I I've watched my body over time get better, get more muscular, get stronger. And so I move forward in my life with those thoughts. And so I think, we constantly have to remind ourselves with whether it's an audiobook or, a podcast
Mm.
or, with what we fill our mind with is how we move forward in our day. So, um, I have to, I think that helps a lot with how I am with my business, how I am with my clients based on what I'm putting in my head daily.
100%. Your info diet is just as important as your food diet, right?
Yeah.
Um, if you could recommend one awesome personal development audiobook, what would it be?
Oh God. Um,
Or one that you're reading right now that you're really enjoying, whatever.
okay, there's a couple I'm reading right now. Parallel Universes of the Self
Oh,
is
interesting.
an incredible one. Um, and it's just more about, you know, living the reality that we create. So, um, you know, everything could be all hell could be breaking loose around us, but if we move forward with our thoughts and our beliefs, then that is what's going to be outpictured in our world. And, I just even recently I had a client say, like, is your business being affected, um, you know, economically by this economic downturn or no? I'm just getting busier and busier, so no, because I don't go through my life with that thought that, whether there's gonna be an economic downturn or not, I don't go through my life with the thought that, clients are gonna drop off or, clients aren't gonna wanna use their discretionary income towards training. And so, yeah, that's a really good book, and Creative Use of Imagination is another one that I have listened to, on repeat probably like 500 times. So, I
Oh, wow.
mean, like, um, but that is because I need the constant reminders because I am someone that, can overthink. And so it helps keep my mind, focused.
Just switching gears slightly before we start wrapping up here, Sarah. In terms of like your approach to the training when you're training clients, can you talk more about the protocols you use? Like you mentioned it's somewhere around 8 to 10 exercises. You mentioned, I think, 20 minutes of actual workout time. Is it 30-minute sessions or 45 minutes? Or like,
They're
let's just
around
talk about your
40
one-on-ones.
they're around 40 minutes, and
Okay.
that's more because I don't do well when I feel the rushed pressure, and so it's not that the workout takes that long, it's that, um yeah, it's that it's just I think people just gotta realize what works for them.
Yep.
Um, I've worked in spaces where the sessions were 20 minutes, and that was way too quick and way too brief, and I felt like, there wasn't even a chance. You were just like, "Hi, how are you? Let's move." And
Yeah.
so, like,
Probably.
I I just because of how I schedule my sessions, yes, people are walking in and others are walking out, but there's also not that, like, s so quick so so much quickness of movement that, you can't breathe just even a little bit. So, um I with, partner training, sessions, tend to last about 50 minutes, but I schedule for an hour. And, um, could I get the workout with personal training clients done much quicker? Yes, if they did absolutely no talking, if they didn't tell me about what their, you know, daughter did, granddaughter did, about the graduation they attended, then yeah, we could get it done quite quickly. But I think having those different elements that come into play or, so a client walks in and, you ask them how their day is and they break down crying. So I think there's just all these, um, elements that come into play that made it so I had to schedule according to what worked for, you know, myself and my clients.
Yeah. Yeah. Does that mean that will you have two 30-minute sessions in an hour, or will you have just one in an hour? How do you schedule that?
So I just schedule clients about every 40 minutes. And so they just go,
Got it.
and um and then if someone comes in, with a partner, because I train quite a few partners. So then I just book out the full hour.
Got it.
Uh, and then if someone comes in, I've trained four, and that I also just plan for an hour as well. So, um,
Okay. And what is what does the time under load look like per exercise? Are you aiming for like 60, 90, 120 seconds? Like, what does that look like?
Usually it's 90 to 120
Mm-hmm.
seconds, minutes.
Mm-hmm.
So depending on the set, uh, usually larger muscle groups are going to be 2 minutes, smaller muscle groups, 1 minute 30. Um,
Interesting.
yeah. So, um, yeah, I've worked with a timer for years, and I'm not sure. I don't know who first brought the time into play, but that was the best thing that ever happened, because to quit counting reps, because once I was able to be like, "Well, your time under tension is 90 seconds. So if you wanna go fast, you can go fast." But I would recommend going slow, because then you can use better form, because either way, we're gonna be under tension for these 90 seconds. And so, um, once I was able to do that instead of, like, telling someone they have, 12 to 15 reps, they might do that really quickly, and the set might be over in 30 seconds. Um,
So will you, even if they're not a failure, you'll just cut it short at time?
no, but I'll realize if they haven't gone to failure, that I didn't set the weight correctly, or
Got
that,
it.
you know, um, they were moving too quickly, or, that, it will make me rethink what how the set needs to be set up.
Yeah.
So, no, sometimes I'll do some rest pauses at the end, just to tax the muscle a little bit harder if I don't think that they worked hard enough within that time frame.
Do you do any other advanced techniques aside from rest pauses?
I mean, I do multiple types of sets, whether that's drop sets, um, pyramids, max reps. Like, sometimes I like to test myself to see if how heavy can I lift, but I like to test clients. I wanna see what is the maximum amount that they can, pull or push, um, on a given day. So sometimes, every, say, 6 weeks, I might test what is their max rep strength. And I think clients like that, because it's like, "Oh, we did it 6 weeks ago, and now 6 weeks ago, we're gonna see if there's been a change." And, it's gonna vary. If they came in tired one time and then
Yeah.
6 later, they're really rested, they ate well, you know, didn't drink alcohol, all the things, they might be that much stronger in those max reps. We don't know.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. It's important to know. Sarah, really appreciate your time today and really enjoyed recording this podcast. Hopefully you feel the same. I want to make sure we point the audience to the right places. So you've got a new YouTube channel going up under your name, Sara Rufener. So Sara and then Rufener RUFF Foxtrot ENER. So you got some videos coming up there. So that's pretty exciting.
Yeah, so that should be posted, I'm guessing this will get become available this week.
Okay.
And then I have an Instagram, All Women Have Muscles, that I try to post to regularly, but I'm not always the best at
You're
posting.
fine. You're good. Your videos are good. I look at some of your videos today. I think you're articulate. I think you've got a great kind of personality and presentation for video. So and I think you're only going to get better at that format. I actually really enjoyed the way you talked about the dosage of exercise in one of your latest videos. So yeah, I think it's easy for people to understand. And then you've also got your website, bendstrengthlab.com. So if anyone's watching this or listening to this and wants to work out with Sarah, go to the website. Or if you know anyone in the area, please send them to Sarah for a workout. Awesome, Sarah. And if anyone's watching or listening to this who would like help with starting or growing your strength training business, please go check out our free group on School called High Intensity Business, or HIB. Sarah's a member. And to go and get access to that is schooler.com/HIB-free. There'll be a link below. And in there, there's access to me, community, courses to help you grow your business, and other really invaluable resources, all tailored to high intensity training business that you really can't get anywhere else. Sarah, any final thoughts before we wrap this one up?
No, not particularly, but if if you want to be a trainer and, it's something that you are passionate about, I would say don't get discouraged. Cause I think back, like even talking about it earlier, I think back to times like, am I cut out for this? You just go through those moments and, sometimes you just have to go through some, challenging steps to get to where you want to go. And so, yeah, don't give up
Love
because,
that.
it will work out if that's your aim.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, that's really important to say that, because there's obviously always tough periods. So thank you for the encouragement. And again, thanks for your time, Sarah. And for everyone else, it's Lawrence with High Intensity Business. And thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll talk to you soon.